Guys, we're going to go ahead and get the party started. We're right here at 2 o'clock, and just going to share my experience and answer any questions that you guys might have. I do thoroughly enjoy just sharing. I feel like a lot of the things that I get to benefit from today are things that other agents, veteran agents, have been able to share with me. So just kind of feel like a way of giving back and saying, hey, I know that a lot of stuff that have been dead end roads for us, things that have not worked well for us. And here are some things that have worked well for us. And if you can benefit from those things in any way, that's the goal. So I'm just going to be sharing my experience with how to hold, or how we currently hold, seminars, helping people transitioning into retirement along with the Medicare 101. And not a whole lot has altered or changed for us over time on this topic. So if you've been a part of this before, it's going to sound very familiar, and so fire away with questions. If you're anything like me, I need to hear some things 3 and 4 times before they really start to stick. And I'm just going to talk about annuities for just a second. I remember listening to a gentleman make a presentation. I'm like, hey, this guy's got it together. He knows what the heck he's doing. I'm like, maybe I'll work with, a referral system and work out some comp split and all that stuff. And after the third time I heard the same presentation, I'm like, I don't really want to split comp. I feel like I can do this, but it took 3 times to catch on. So again, a little bit of redundancy here if you've been a part of this, but hopefully you can benefit from it. So we're going to go ahead and start it. Why do we do educational seminars, and why should you maybe consider doing them as well? There's just something about being in front of a group of people that automatically establishes credibility. And so being able to invite people to something, I actually had this morning, a lady who came to me, referred to me, whom I'd never met before, but some of her really dear friends who she trusts a lot said, we went to a seminar, it was great, they said a lot of nice things. And she came here, and I never met her before, and here's 2 401ks that she's just ready to roll over, and I hadn't even met her before, all because of the educational seminar. So utilizing the education first approach, I'm going to expand on that quite a bit. When I tell people all the time, technically my role would be sales. But I don't look at myself as a salesperson. I look at myself as an educator, that if I can educate, and I always say this too, people don't like insurance because they don't understand it. That if I can put it in terms that they can understand, put it in plain English, I don't even really necessarily have to make a recommendation. I'm not afraid to make a recommendation. I just don't feel like I always have to, because the education was clear enough that they can make that decision on their own. And I love that. So with the education first approach also, um, uh, those people, just keep using today's example, those people are not afraid. People who have attended the educational seminar are not afraid to recommend their friends, family, and neighbors to go to the seminar, or to refer them to come, because they see that we're not going to put them in a headlock and pressure them into purchasing something that may not be what they're wanting to do at that time. So the opportunity is incredible. So I got to say that the last seminar I did, this is going to take a lot of the womp womp. 3 people showed up. I think we had 8 people signed up. We had 3 people show up. And out of one, just one of those 3, what one person can generate when you have that education first approach of saying, hey, yeah, they're here to learn about Medicare, Social Security, they're overwhelmed with all that, but they're relieved to know that you also can help take care of that 401k rollover. And then you look at what that one person produced in commission and earnings. It's significant. That I would do a seminar every month for 3 people with the results that we're getting from that. So I want to encourage you that if you're not getting great numbers, don't worry about it, because a lot of fruit can come from just one client. So, and again, more than one way to skin a cat. I just get to speak with a lot of passion about the experience, and hoping that my experience and eliminating some of the doubt that you may have about getting started doing something like this can be pushed away, and you take that big leap to go ahead and take that first step to do so. So next slide is going to look like educational versus sales seminars. And some of you are going to ask me technical questions regarding this. And all I can speak to really is just the educational side. When we say we're not getting into plan benefits specifically, we're not signing anybody up for an appointment at that time. And we're definitely not selling anything. That it is 100%, hey, we're going to go through the Medicare 101 piece, make sure that we're crystal clear. I feel that is what helps us establish credibility the most. It's an overwhelming topic talking about 21 different drug plans and how do I know with great certainty which one is best for you. So when you get to go through the process of how you navigate that stuff, you're establishing credibility. From there, we're touching on Social Security, and from the wrapping up with just kind of the retirement planning and when do we plan to use this money and how much helps us determine what product's going to be best suited for you. And so when you leave this seminar, and I'm probably stealing some of my thunder for next, but it's what's on my mind, is when you leave this little meeting here, this little seminar, sometimes seminar might not even be the best word to use. When you leave this meeting, you're going to leave here with a card. You're not signing up for anything. There's no sign-up sheet. There's no appointments that we're scheduling. That some of you need help right away. Some of you need help 2 and 3 years from now. Just hang on to that card, and when the time's right, you're going to give me a call. I don't do a great job of keeping track of who has attended versus who turned into clients. But every time that we take photos of the seminars and to promote future seminars, I look back at some of those photos and I'm like, hey, they became clients and they became clients and they became clients. So it feels like, and I don't have numbers to support it, I feel like the numbers are just there, that it's a matter of time before they do need our services. And we've established enough credibility that they're going to become clients in time. So you see the difference between the educational seminars and the sales seminars. Keep it educational. Yes, you can do sales seminars, but for my experience, man, the results are so great. I'm just saying, do the educational seminars. Rules, red tape, what you can and can't do. Spend a little bit of time. You can kind of read through the rules of that. I feel as though all of the red tape that you have to be concerned about is eliminated when you have the education first approach. So instead of the sales seminar, do the educational seminar, and you eliminate that red tape. Let's hit that next one there. Continuing with the CMS rules, what you can and cannot do. In general, I think Part D, again, is one of those things that we get to get into the weeds, just talking about how it works, but we're not really highlighting this plan over that plan or these guys over those guys. Sure, they're going to see Medicare.gov on the screen, and they're going to be able to see, but I'm not getting into the nitty-gritty of that company and why it works well for. So it's just in general, here's how that plan finder tool works on Medicare.gov and how you can help navigate that. So I'm not going to read these things, but you kind of see the rules that go with CMS. All right, so didn't reinvent the wheel with this. We just kind of, I hate to say stole it, but stole it from just another outfit that was doing seminars about when is the best time to do so. And so just avoiding weekends, avoiding Mondays and Fridays. We actually do it on Tuesday at 6 o'clock is the time frame that we plan for them, keeping in mind holidays. If it follows a holiday, we do it on a Thursday. So as a rule, my mother-in-law is always wearing me out. Hope she's not listening somehow. Hey, when's that next seminar? I'm like, Vicky, it's the first Tuesday of every month unless it follows a holiday. And so just kind of having that set thing, that standard thing where people kind of can know when to expect it or know when to recommend or refer people. It's first Tuesday of every month unless it follows a holiday. In that case, it's on a Thursday. Anyone that we've done after a holiday, no one shows up. So it's like it's almost like their Monday, and it doesn't work out well. And so again, I said 6 p.m. And then the 1 hour deal. Here's something interesting, guys. It's been a struggle of mine. So I'm just full transparency. we try like heck to just make it 1 hour. And I'm sitting here saying, if you're in church and the church is over, everybody's rushing out the door. We get done with a 1 hour seminar and everybody's just sitting there like, is this guy going to stand on his head next, or what are we doing next? They're not anxious to go anywhere. And so I've struggled with how to wrap it up, and I make corny jokes because we hold it at the ranch, like, hey, you stick around much longer, and you'll have to ride the bull. We'll get the bull out, and you can ride the bull, or any of these desserts that we have left, you got to have another dessert on your way out. Anything that's left, I got to eat it. It's things that just don't work well. But I'm just here to say they're just fascinated in all, just not in a hurry to go anywhere after the 1 hour. I still believe in sticking to the 1 hour, but you'd be blown away at how quickly that 1 hour goes by. We're doing some new things. I'll go ahead and go off script here. We're doing some new things that we're asking for testimonials. What did you find helpful? Just answer these two questions. What did you find helpful from this? In addition to, what would you share with somebody who was considering coming to the ranch to learn about this stuff? And just to get some of those testimonials. And so it was almost like the new approach is, hey, you're scared to be on camera, so you're getting the heck out of Dodge. Or, hey, you're going to stick around and you're going to provide us with a little bit of feedback. So that worked halfway well. This last time, I like it better than what we've done in the past. So little side note, bonus material there. Just mention this. That's yours truly in the background. We're kind of proud of a barn that we built that's a riding arena, and it has a family room that looks into the riding arena. And so that's where we host it. When we consider, not everybody has a barn that they want to invite people to. The convention centers, hotels, and libraries, we have done that before. And it puts a little bit of pressure, just being honest, puts a little bit of pressure on yourself when you're like, hey, I'm renting this space. And I've got these mailers out trying to get people here, and I've got some expense involved. And what if nobody shows up? Where for me, it's a little different scenario where it's like, hey, it's right across the street from my house. If nobody shows up, I'm just eating this whole dessert by myself. So just know that we can get into some expenses there that you want to make sure that it's keep those costs low. Just in the event that the location that you're going to, you're going to have a good turnout. Effingham for us is an hour away. I've done some there, and maybe just a little bit disappointed with the results, just being blunt. And I'm sitting here wondering, thinking that, well, this guy's not a local guy here. He's an hour away. How hard is it going to be for me to get a hold of him? And maybe that has something to do with the results. Maybe it has nothing, but that was kind of the feeling that I got, because not a whole lot came from doing something there in Effingham. So yeah, I think that take care of the possible locations for choosing your seminar location. Probably stole all the thunder here. No pressure atmosphere is just crazy comfortable, handing out business cards. And I like to let them know up front, because there is this lingering expectation that you're going to put us in a headlock at the end of this and make us sign up for something. And so it's been helpful to see their posture when you can establish early on that, guys, many times people are invited to these types of settings and they're given maybe a free dinner or something, and this lingering expectation that they're going to purchase something or sign up for something at the end. I'm letting you know now, before we get to the end of the seminar, that how this is going to end. It's going to end with me just simply giving you a business card, and it's going to be up to you to reach out to me. You will not have me calling you, knocking on your door, anything like that. Again, that approach just seems to work well. Don't get into specifics during the seminar. You'll always have that know-it-all person that tries to ask that question. You guys all know what I'm talking about. We might have some on this webinar today. That wants to tell you how much they know, and that's great. And you just try to diffuse as much of that as you can. Hey, everybody's situation is a little bit different. We really look forward to doing one-on-ones with people to where we get to ask 10 questions, and based on that information, we fully understand what your big picture and what you have going on, and we feel wildly comfortable making recommendations based on gathering that information. In this particular setting, we keep it pretty broad here without getting into the nitty-gritty on each individual one. And then lastly, answers personalized question. Whoa, can't even read, Jaybird. What's we saying here? Personalized questions. Okay. People will sometimes want to stick around and answer that. And you want to be accommodating, and that's wonderful. I try to make sure that my mentality is, when we're done with this, what is the goal? I'm not signing anybody up for a med sup, annuity, or anything, Part D after this. The goal is just to establish enough credibility and trust that they want to schedule an appointment. That's all there is to it. Hey, you can call me, text me, email me. It's all on the card, and try to stay away from getting into the weeds. Kind of those last two bullets kind of flow together for me. So what does the presentation look like? We start with, I'll paint the picture. My wife, my daughter, this is fun. My little 5-year-old. My 5-year-old has his boots on. He has his spurs on. He's riding his miniature horse around in the arena. And it's the warm up, it's the conversation piece as people are getting there 10 and 15 minutes in advance. And it's just fun for me, proud dad to see that. My daughter's kind of a greeter. She's 12 years old. She's becoming a little lady, a young woman. And so she likes curling her hair and putting her makeup on and all of that, greeting people. And she's getting good at the social part. And then my wife makes a dessert. She's kind of the host and so everybody just gets a bottle of water and a dessert. My wife always makes a dessert, and just kind of make some small talk, getting people coffee and what have you leading up to it. And then when we start it, there's just an intro video that I know that I'll forget to share kind of the backstory and a little bit of the history. And so that video I'm going to call it 2 minutes, something that is very helpful to kind of get everything kicked off. From there, we're just going through a slideshow. This, it's easier to grasp it if you can see it and hear it. And so we're just kind of following along with a slideshow. What is special about the slideshow? Absolutely nothing. The slideshow is just going over the basics. Let's go ahead and switch to the next slide here. And so top left there, you see the overview, and it just goes into how does Medicare.gov, how does Social Security, SSA.gov, how do those things help you? And how can it help you from having to go into the Social Security's office and not have a pleasant experience? Understanding the different parts of Medicare, A, B, C, and D, Medicare supplements versus Medicare Advantage. And then, hey, I'm working past 65. I'm also eligible for my employer coverage in addition to Medicare. How do I know what to do? We just navigate through that. I think you guys can kind of see the progression of that. It's all stuff that you and I know, but they don't. So it's just in really broad terms, helping them just get the foundation of understanding, again, some of the resources, the tools of the Medicare Plan Finder tool, Medicare.gov, understanding how I can navigate and the benefits of creating an account on Social Security's website. So that's some of the examples that we're using, but don't feel like I know how this goes. As everyone's like, hey, can you send me your slideshow? There's nothing special about the slideshow. Just share the general information that you share every day. Just make sure that they can see it and hear it at the same time. Few tips, ideal number of attendees. I like this. We always want big numbers, big results, want it fast. And I've found that we've kind of experimented over 4 years, 5 years, let's say 4 years, 4 years of doing so. And sometimes I'm like, hey, this is going to be a good one. There's 18 people that are going to be there. And those 18 people, two things happen. Are afraid to ask questions because it's a bigger group. or you get that know-it-all, Dr. Johnson, that wants to let everybody know in the room that he's really smart. And it's just a turn off. And that meeting ended up being, because it was new to me, 2 hours when we're advertising for an hour. And so to have it smaller is more ideal with our experience. With my experience, I would say don't hesitate to do it for 3. I've already said that, but give or take 8 or 10 would feel just about right. And then I feel like it's gimmicky if you're providing a meal or advertising that you're providing a meal, and a lot do it, and a lot are probably successful, I'm sure. But the no pressure, the warm and welcoming, no obligation, education first, a bottle of water and a dessert works well. Doesn't mean you can't do something else, but along those lines works well. And then taking some photos. Take photos while you're doing the presentation. Yes, that's always seems to be my wife. And yes, Rebecca, I'm sure you're on here. I always wear the same doggone suit coat or sport coat. And so the pictures all look like they're from the same seminar. So I need to just invest in a new sport coat so I don't have the same one on every time for the promotional photos. Sorry, Rebecca. How to promote it. I don't want to pretend, guys, like this is my area of expertise. Jason, Rebecca are fantastic with this stuff. I get to be the one on camera right now to relay really, truly how they navigate this. But don't ask me questions about Eventbrite and landing pages because that's not my wheelhouse. But Eventbrite, I know that once we gather their email, it sends them some reminders and some information just to keep it fresh on their mind, address, whatever it might be. And we do have a landing page that when they go to it, they can learn about future seminars or what the next dates are, and so on and so forth. Facebook is, and I do a survey in the middle of it, and I say, guys, or maybe it's toward the end of it, I say, guys, who here is found out about this tonight by something other than Facebook? And it's not terribly often that people find out about it from something other than Facebook. The power of Facebook is incredible. And so you can kind of see the ads and how that all shakes out, a 40-mile radius, target the age that you want. And the goal is just to get a ticket. It's a free ticket. They're signing up for a ticket. Something kind of funny is people will show up with like they printed off their ticket, like they aren't going to get in the door unless they have this ticket. So they bring the tickets, and it seems to work well, but I'm just not on the inside of this part of it, but that's how we're promoting it on Facebook. Now's the fun part where we can go in 100 different directions with questions. I'm going to let Jay Bird ask the question, and I'll do my best to answer it.
All right. Can we get a copy of the presentation with slides?
Again, it's not something that is anything special. Just your general information, understanding the parts of Medicare A, B, C, and D. I don't know that I feel wildly comfortable just sending out the slideshow that I have. So that's why I'm encouraging you. Just what is Part A? What is Part B? How to run a Part D comparison. Show them. Use the Medicare Plan Finder tool right in front of them. Might suggest that you have a handful of medications already planned in your mind so that it's a good representation. I've fallen flat on my face doing that, where I'm like, wow, this was just not a good example. And I was just making crap up, thinking of medications that I've ran across. So kind of have that scripted better than I did.
Yeah, and as far as the slides go, we are recording this presentation, so we'll send a copy out to you. But as far as the actual presentation slides, that's what we're not going to send that out.
Yeah.
Okay, Termia, is it best to do a T65 educational or just a mixed crowd of Medicare eligibles?
So kind of two thoughts that come to that. We do those people that are nearing 65, getting ready to turn 65, those are the ones that just seem to have a lot of questions, a lot of confusion. They're the ones that are getting bombarded with all the information in the mail, and that just seems to be a bit prime. I'm wondering, maybe a little bit concerned that if we're doing 65 to 75, people are coming in there maybe, well, I have this and it works out great and da 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 da, and you should be on it. It's like, hey, let's let these people understand the full, all of their options, understanding there's 21 drug plans that, Joe, because you're happy with yours doesn't mean that that one's perfect for everybody else. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making that up. That's just kind of the feel. The sweet spot seems to be those that are just overwhelmed with the information that comes when you're getting ready to turn 65. Side note to that, yeah, not everybody retires at 65. So being able to accommodate for those that are working past 65, trying to find those folks, we just haven't done that yet.
Okay, can we do permission to contact forms for those who wish to complete one for you to call them? And I think we have a bullet back here. Back one.
We're almost there.
Farther back? No, I think it's on this slide. May not include sales activities, distribution, marketing, or collection of plan apps. May not market or sell. I know I just saw that on here. May not distribute or display business reply cards, scopes, or sign-up sheets. Permission, right there it is. So you cannot do that at an educational event.
It feels like this, guys. It does feel like, hey, if I'm going to go to the expense of promoting an event, potentially renting a space, thank you, Jason, for that, renting a space, man, I want to be able to get my hands on these prospects soon thereafter. And I can understand the thought process. But from experience, I get to speak again with passion to say, with everything that I'm sharing, don't try and reinvent the wheel, because the results are there, period. Stick with that. Don't feel like you have to do that permission to contact. It's a great question, but don't feel like you have to. Give them your card, win them over with the education first approach, and be a huge asset to them when they're trying to navigate a difficult subject.
And James asks, business cards can be handed out at educational seminars. Yes, right there, business card can be provided, but it can't be attached to other materials. Okay, what are the 10 questions you ask?
Oh, this could be a big subject. I'm gonna make it pretty short and sweet. If you want to know more about it, we have these on our website and under tools, maybe. Anyway, Jason will think about, well, anyway, we're going to let you know that it's a client needs assessment. And the client needs assessment for us is a foundation for, I don't feel comfortable making a recommendation for you until I feel like I know what you have going on, the big picture. And so these 10 questions, there's no secret to that. It's just look up the client needs assessment, or potentially we'll follow up with an email that has a link to that, or just kind of shows you how to get to it. So those 10 questions, I can just get carried away and we can be a lot longer doing that. Just know that as a client needs assessment is what it is for those 10 questions.
Yeah, and if Rebecca, if you're still listening, let's add that to the follow-up email. And Rebecca mentioned we have some generic ones. I'm not sure what she was referring to there, but yeah, we'll attach some resources to that email.
Generic client needs assessment, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Susan, I'm not sure how to put a CMS approved slide on my PowerPoint. I love that screen with your slide examples. So we may have some generic materials we can send out, and we'll check on that. That might have been what Rebecca was referring to earlier. So yeah, we'll check on that. Any more questions, guys?
Definitely fire away on questions. 110%. We got a raised hand. 110% for your benefit. Fire away. Don't hold them back.
Zem, good afternoon, Michael. Could you take a brief moment to touch on compensation potential?
Yeah. This is a fun subject because humbly I say, this is not about me. This is about you. And I get to share my experience. But will say the financial side of things, annuity side of things, retirement planning side of things is where a lot of the good money comes from. Okay, so I love helping people with the education, establishing trust, credibility, and all that stuff. And we're going to help them with the Medicare products. But those Medicare products are what's helping us, again, establish the credibility and get them in the door. So we'll say get them in the door and establish credibility. From there, it needs to go to that client needs assessment. With that client needs assessment, those clients know that we are seeking what's in their best interest based on their information and not just a one size fits all telling everybody they need the same thing. Part of that needs assessment gets us into the financial thing. Do we have any IRAs or 401ks? When do we plan to start drawing on that money and how much? And based on that information, we can match a plan and a product to that. And so when we get into those financial products, it can change a lot on the compensation side of things. So while my opinion, med subs pay the bills, Medicare products pay the bills, life is good. But when you need to go out and buy a new horse, the annuities is what's going to help you pay for that new horse. So you get the gist of that. It is significant when you get into those financial products.
Okay, with the T65 map on integrity, is it okay to hand out seminar info as a door-to-door approach?
Hit me one more time on that.
With the T65 map on integrity, I assume that's on Integrity's website.
Yes, I'm
Is it
familiar.
okay to hand out seminar info as a door-to-door approach?
I don't think that would hurt anything. I don't think there's any rules against it that, hey, we're having these educational events that if I missed you here at the door, I just want you to know that there's an opportunity to gather some of this information that you may need in preparation for going on to Medicare. I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Yeah, I think you just have to be really careful if you reference MedAdvantage or PDP on that flyer that you're dropping off, that could be an issue.
Yeah, a lot of red tape on PDP and MA.
Yeah, and if you're not sure, submit it to us for a compliance check and we'll try to help you out. Okay, I heard some agents file formal events. Some agents file formal events, but do it as an educational in the event it goes into a formal event. Would you suggest doing something like that? You hear so much in the streets. I want to do this the right way.
Yeah, I can totally understand the question and understand where our mind would go that direction. I don't think there's anything wrong with those who are doing it that way. I know I am completely comfortable knowing how that 1 hour seminar is going to go. I know what content we're going to cover. I know how far into the weeds we're going to go or not going to go. And I don't fear them taking me into a formal situation that I'm like, oh crap, I just crossed the lines and I can't be having those conversations or saying these things or getting into the nitty gritty of this. That, hey, guys, what the intent here tonight is to, one, meet you, let you know that there's a place and a resource that you can gather this kind of information where there's no pressure, there's no sales pitch. And when we get into those types of things, I would love to schedule just a one-on-one time, and I'll gather some information before we start going down that road. And I've had to say something along those lines before, but it was absolutely no problem. So I'm just wildly comfortable on the educational front. The clients see that you have their best interest at heart, and they almost leave there like, oh, I didn't have to sign up for anything. I didn't. And that warm and fuzzy feeling of recommending somebody else without putting them in an uncomfortable situation. Again, it was just random, but it was living proof of it this morning from someone whom I'd never met before, but came to us because of a referral from someone who actually attended a seminar.
Okay, we can speak on financial and other products at the educational event.
So in general terms, we get to talk about this. We get to say, upon retirement, safety becomes highest priority. And with safety as our highest priority, let's identify our three options truly. And I don't want to try to go, I can go all the way down this line, but I don't want to. It's just with those three options, we get to identify. With banks, we've got CDs, and here's some pros and cons to CDs. With stocks, bonds, mutual funds, Edward Jones, Raymond James, Morgan Stanley, with some pros and cons there. Insurance company. So in general, we get to talk about, hey, really, we're boiling it down to these are your three options. And with these three options, all things considered, safety is our number one priority. We would recommend this, and this is why. And so we get to not have to get into the when do we plan to use this money and how much do we plan to use? Not in that setting. That setting is the one-on-one situation that just general, again, 21 drug plans, just pick on that, 21 drug plans to choose from. How do I navigate? How do I approach making sure that I know that I'm doing the right thing? Social Security, again, it's educational. We're not getting into specifics. It's this is some information you should be considering as we're nearing retirement or in retirement.
Okay, Stephen, do you hand out a survey form for them to complete? If offering food, when do you serve, beginning, middle, or end? And this is a three-part question. If doing a Medicare educational seminar, then you have a retirement or SSA benefits seminar at a different time and date?
I love the question. Is Stephen, is it who it
Yeah.
is? Stephen, you're nitty gritty like me. I want to talk about the food. The food, when they show up, there's a bottle of water, there's a little plate of a dessert. Almost 9 out of 10, they're going to eat it. Somebody else who's on a health kick that's not going to have the dessert. Okay, fine. So it's just out there. It's sitting there. If they have to go dish it themselves, a lot of times they would just like pass. But if it's sitting in front of them for an hour, they can't help but to eat it. So it's out there. What was the second part of that?
Do you hand out a survey form for them to complete?
No, I like the idea. I like the idea. We don't. Just to get a little bit more feedback, maybe some things that we could potentially spend a little bit more time on, where there could be some more clarity added. I like the idea. We just don't.
Okay, and then if you're doing an educational seminar, do you have a retirement or SSA benefits seminar at a different time?
Hit me one more time on that.
If you're just doing a Medicare educational seminar,
Yep.
then do you have a retirement or Social Security benefits seminar later?
Yeah. So again, nitty gritty on Social Security, we're not doing that. Nitty gritty on in person, yes. That what we need to be considering thinking about when it comes to Social Security, the timing of, and I think potentially this question is coming from thinking of just getting so far into some particulars that we just don't touch in that educational setting. Things like just understanding that there's an 8% increase for every year that you delay drawing. Things like what is the max I can make and still draw Social Security before a penalty kicks in. Just general information about that is some of the things that we're going to touch on regarding Social Security.
Okay, Zem, is there any other licensing or education required to get deeper into annuities and retirement planning? And does New Horizon provide adequate source of materials to begin?
All right, we're going to talk about Kirk. New Horizons has Kirk Sarf, and Kirk Sarf is in the office right next to me. Kirk has given me tremendous confidence. Probably like most of you here, we're Medicare people, and the bridging that gap or crossing over into that intimidating subject of dealing with somebody's life savings and taxes, and you don't want to screw up. When you know that you have someone in your back pocket that you can just call at any time and say, hey, Kirk, here I've stumbled across this or that, help guide me through. So the resources are there in Kirk, yes, for sure. But then also some other resources just on the website pertaining to if I'm moving I'm thinking about this little flow chart deal. If money's coming from here to there, how to. So plenty of resources on that. I feel like I missed part of that question. I'm not answering part of the
Any
question.
licensing or education required?
So, health and life license, yes, but then there's also certification with each carrier that we're going to have to do anti-money laundering. Nothing that's Series 6, 67, all that jazz. I will say that if I am capable, everyone is capable. So nothing extreme when it comes to the carrier certification and LIMRA or anti-money laundering stuff.
Okay, newbie here. How do you file events? Steve is our resident expert on that, and I know he's done it several times. I don't have an answer for that one off the top of my head, but I believe it's just filing it with CMS, and I think there's a spot on their website to do that.
Definitely can't, I don't feel like I can give a great answer on the, other than similar way to saying, but Kirk Sarf, when it comes to getting into financial stuff, knowing that you have him as a resource, we have Steve as the resource for that, Steve Spinner. Do not hesitate to ask those types of questions regarding filing for events. He will help you out for sure.
Okay, I'm thinking about approaching some churches to offer seminars to the congregation. Thoughts?
I like it. I've approached something similar, and it's just a tough thing because there's backlash if you're the pastor. There's just backlash that pastor is going to get, because then somebody else is coming out of the woodwork saying, I do insurance too. Why are you letting them do it? I'm not able to do it. So it just gets a little bit sketchy there, a little dicey. I think that if everyone knows that, hey, I'm just providing education. So what it came down to was when I don't want to say struck out with the church, when it just became evident that it was not going to be a good fit to do with the church, that it was going to be one of those where it's like, hey, the church can just let people know of educational events. I'm going to pick on our local Christian radio station, WBGL. They let people know about events going on in their area. And so the church can kind of do the same thing. It's not like they're endorsing me over somebody else. It's just, hey, I know somebody who does this. And I will say the results from church have been great, because you're kind of earmarked as the, I don't want to call myself an expert, but you're supposed to be the expert in that field. So 6 o'clock, first Tuesday of every month. I know they hold these educational seminars. You should go. The church can endorse that without putting me above somebody else.
Okay, Roy, can the needs analysis be filled out at the meeting and turned in? My thoughts, if you have their information, you could encourage the client to call after they know you fully understand their special needs and questions.
Yeah, I know where that comes from. I'll say 9 out of 10. I know where that would come from. Roy, you may think a little differently than me. It's come from Roy, right? When you are not as comfortable with the client needs assessment as someone who's been doing it for some time, using the needs assessment for some time, I can see where it's almost like you just want to gather the information and be able to go back and study it and do some homework on it. Not necessary. The progression of it is going to be is just making sure, here's my encouragement, making sure that you're just asking as many questions as possible, getting as much detail as possible when you're on that one-on-one setting. We're not in the seminar setting, we're in a one-on-one where they've called to schedule an appointment to meet with you. And you're just gathering that information. From there, there's going to be some topics that you're like, I know this like the back of my hand. I know I can run with a Part D comparison right now. There may be other subjects, pick on long-term care, that you're like, ugh, it's been a while since I've ran a quote. I'm not even sure how to quote it and who I should call. So maybe I'll come in. So you can go ahead and address some of those things that you're comfortable within. But because you have the information off of your needs assessment, you're going to be able to say, this is huge. Mrs. Jones, after gathering all this information, there's a lot of things that we get to help people with. The thing that seems to have the greatest sense of urgency is this. I look forward to addressing some of these other things at a later date. And so to prevent information overload, we're going to tackle these subjects, but just know, so you're just setting the stage. that not every time I get in front of this person, I'm just trying to sell them something else. They know from that initial appointment that there is an outline that we're following to understand what they have going on big picture. And we're going to take care of a few things now. We'll take care of a few things later. So, Roy, I love that. That's you on the brink of, I want to use this needs assessment. I want to ask those 10 questions, but I've never really done that format before. Can I just take that information at the seminar setting? And I don't encourage that because you want them to feel comfortable opening up. Pick on the cancer question, pick on the long-term care, family experience with someone going into a nursing home. We don't really want them or need them opening up that can in front of a group setting. So that needs to be on a one-on-one setting.
Okay, Susan, do you ever have in-person workshops where agents can present Medicare 101 or other presentations and get your feedback? For those of us that have either never presented or it's been years since we presented, just for practice, feedback, confidence building. Some of us are hands-on in-person learners and not everyone has family to practice with or nobody to give feedback from experienced agents.
I love voice recording. I love voice recording. I don't love standing in front of the mirror, but I love the practice of listening back to yourself and standing in front of a mirror making your presentation. I would first, in these steps, say, hey, I know I'm getting ready to do a presentation that I'm not wildly comfortable with, not got a lot of experience, but I'm going to rough draft it and I'm going to try to go through it without stopping. And I'm going to just record it right off my doggone phone. I'm going to listen back to that and I'm going to take some notes down because you're going to be your own biggest critic. And then you feel like you kind of got it down. I'm going to stand in front of that mirror. Nobody's there. There's nothing embarrassing about it. Again, your own biggest critic, and you roll through it. And with the practices of those two things, I think that you would be shocked 3 times. If you do that 3 times, how comfortable you are and ready to present in front of somebody live. I would even encourage, if let's pretend like you got the perfect prospect of a neighbor that's just willing to let you practice, I still would recommend recording yourself and stand in front of a mirror before you even got in front of that. That would be the progression I would highly recommend.
Okay, Dave, we're adding Medicare supplements to our portfolio for existing clients. Is Medicare insurance like health insurance in that we can take over as the agent of record for clients that are already on Medicare?
I know that that's a possibility. I can't speak to that. Probably can't even say that I've done that. I think somebody's asked me to do it. I can't speak to that very well. I know people do change the agent of record or take over as agent of record. I just haven't been in that situation where I have done that. I don't think that that's necessary. Now that I've had a little bit of time to stutter through, I think what it would look like is this: the trend for Medicare supplements. You're going to be competitive with a Medicare supplement for 3 to 4 years. And at the end of the 3rd or 4th year, you've seen enough rate increases along the way that there's normally a better option to consider anyways. And so we're normally transitioning to another Medicare product. Me personally, giving my opinion and my opinion only, it would be, hey, that person, I don't care if it's your neighbor. And they're like, hey, we want you to take over for us. We want you to be our agent of record. That's great. I'll help you all that I can. How long have you been on that Mutual of Omaha product or Cigna or Aetna, whatever? How long have you been on that? Okay, 2 years. Okay. Well, here's what the trend is. By the 3rd or 4th year, you will have experienced enough rate increases that we highly likely can improve your situation. And then at that time, you're just the agent of record when you write them that new product. So I lean in that direction. Yeah, you can do the other route. I just haven't done it that way. And don't feel like it's completely necessary.
Okay, thanks for your patience regarding my questions on this matter. I'm a life health licensed and have been for nearly 20 years. Am I able to advertise on my cards and website that I help with annuities and retirement planning?
Yes. Yes. Love the short answer, but yes. Yes, I don't know how to expand on that. Any ideas?
No, I just think you can put anything you want on your business card. You can put astronaut, but really, you need to be comfortable saying that.
Yeah. I will jump in on that. On your business card, it says, pretend like it says life, health, annuities, long-term care, cancer insurance. And you feel like when we're not comfortable with these subjects yet, that you're hoping that because it's on the business card, people are going to ask you about it. When you know this, you have to be the one to be proactive about why is there even a need for cancer insurance? Just because it's on your business card doesn't mean that they're going to be knocking on your door. So it is up to you. It's up to me to make sure that we're bringing up those subjects. And again, that outline, I feel like everything's going back to that client needs assessment. Those 10 questions helps me know what you have going on to know how to make a recommendation for you and what topics we're bringing up and which topics we're not. For example, why wouldn't you bring up the cancer insurance? Well, I know that the underwriting is not awaiting any test results and you haven't had any cancer in the last 10 years. Well, you just had cancer 3 years ago. I'm not bringing up that subject at that time because you're not even eligible for it. So that outline helps you and I know what direction we need to, it's your roadmap on what direction you need to go.
Okay, last question. Can we do an educational event about medication only, like understanding Part D? When can we speak about the Part D changes? Can the changes be done in an educational way?
Yeah, I like this. I don't love the idea. I mean, I guess during open enrollment period, you can do a Part D seminar only. I might encourage you to do so much more than that because there's so much more that you can address. Under the Medicare Part D, in a group setting, I don't love, no, certain people are going to be private about their medications. Oh, shoot, why is she taking that? So in that setting, it's general terms. Like you just need to know you're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place because you're going to talk to somebody. You're getting ready for Medicare. You're going to talk to somebody, your neighbor who's on Medicare, and you're going to hear from Joe, the local coffee shop expert. And this one's going to tell you, oh my gosh, Humana's the best, and da da da. And this one over here says, oh my gosh, Aetna is the best. You got to sign up with them. And you're like, I know neither one of these guys are trying to lead me astray. So how do I know which way to go? In this educational event, we're simply saying you need to know how to navigate it, that we can't follow the neighbor's advice or the local coffee shop expert, Joe, his advice, that there's only one way to do it. It's Medicare.gov. The Plan Finder tool is what helps you navigate with great confidence out of 21 plans. I know this is the best plan. And so that's what you want to do in that setting. So once then you establish your credibility and they know that you know what the heck you're doing or how to navigate with them, you then are encouraging, because guys, again, no one's rolling over that 401k sitting in that group setting. Can't even do it. All you're trying to do is what is the goal is just to be able to establish that credibility for them to want to call you and schedule that one-on-one. Then you get into the nitty-gritty of all of the good stuff. And that's where you're going to have the greatest opportunity to serve them in the best way possible. All right, I'm wrapping up here. Hopefully this was helpful. That was a quick 53 minutes. Rambling guy here. Don't hesitate. You guys know I'm an open book. If you don't know me, I want to help. And so from experience, I get to say, here's what we've done. Here's what has worked well. Here's what has not worked well. And if you can kind of see from what we're sharing here, we're only sharing the recipe for success. Don't feel like you have to take this recipe and alter it in some way. Yeah, you can make it your own, but I spent a lot of time and energy trying to make it my own and find my own way. When it came back to, it's like, what are these guys that are having the most success? What are they doing? How are they working renewals? How are they approaching each client presentation? What are their ways of getting in front of people? And I can honestly say that all of the things that we're having success with now is not something that we have these brilliant ideas. We've just taken note of all of the top producers from around the country and how they do it and just kind of put it together. So would like to take credit for being really smart and all of that. It's just not true. So I encourage you to follow kind of what we're sharing here. Put your own little spin on it if you'd like, but for the most part, don't deviate too much, because we can say with confidence, you will be wildly successful if you just kind of follow this roadmap. So hope you guys have an awesome day. Thank you for joining. Until next time, have a great one.